How many of you have heard the expression, he's out of sorts? My friends, I am out of sorts, and I have been all week. And I think the reason is I was thinking ahead to yesterday and today. Yesterday afternoon, there was here a 28-year-old man, his casket. He had died in a snowmobile accident a week ago yesterday. He had just been married in June. His wife sat in the front pew, 5 or 6 months pregnant. And that made me out of sorts. Today I had a funeral mass in Rochester for an 84-year-old gentleman who was one of my parents' best friends. And he was a person that was a father figure to me in many ways. And so I'm kind of out of sorts. And then I'm mindful that tomorrow we celebrate an anniversary on Monday, the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, which the whole world knows what that is and how many lives have been lost to abortion over the years. And I'm out of sorts because over the 16 years of my life, I think I've just given lip service to the pro-life cause and haven't always been forceful from the pulpit, either because of fear or anxiety or confusion or whatever it might be, even though I do believe in life from conception to natural death. So I've been out of sorts all week. And the only thing I could come up with was, well, how can you be out of sorts when you're a follower of the Lord? And I think it's probably pretty clear to all of us that many of Jesus' followers were out of sorts from time to time. And so I'm going to give you some advice that I gave myself. So even though I'm out of sorts, you're going to go home with $1 million homily. How many of you want to be happy? All right. Before I lay before you someday, I want to make sure that I'm happy and at peace. That's really the wish that I have for my own life, and I have that wish for everybody here. I have that wish for everybody who's not here. So how do we become at peace, and how do we become happy? That's the $1 million question, and I'm going to give you a $1 million possible answer. Put life in perspective. Put all of the things on the list that concern your mind and your heart. Whatever it might be, think broadly and write them down without any kind of question or misgivings. Just write them down. Just a free flow of ideas, the things that kind of get you off kilter. And then put them in perspective. Go through them one by one and ask yourself, is this worth worrying about? Will I add one day to my life by concerning myself with this? And then you kind of pare down that list. And then you find out that you have better perspective because you care about the most important things and not the least important things. I've always wanted to have a car that was no older than 2 years old. That's the way my dad did it. Every 2 years he had a brand new car. My dad was crazy. I am so comfortable with my 2002 Dodge Neon with 106,000 miles on it than I could be with anything. I used to want to have it all. You know, the best car, the best job, the best everything. But then you find out over time that really all that doesn't really matter. So you have to put things in perspective. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think, to be grateful, to have a heart of gratitude, to actually think to yourself, what are the things that I am most grateful for in my life? And then to express that gratitude. Because that's what we do when we come to church. Eucharist means thanksgiving. And so what are you grateful for? The things I'm grateful for now are much different than the things I was grateful for 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. I'm grateful that my 2002 Dodge Neon works. I'm grateful that I have a warm house. I'm grateful that I can go open the refrigerator and there's something there. I'm grateful that I have the ability to go to a doctor and only have to pay a copay for a bill that's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm grateful that I have my family, my sisters, my 5 sisters, my brother, my mother. Though we don't see each other very often, we make attempts at communicating at least once a week. So I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful that I have the gift of faith. I can't imagine what it would be in this world if I had to go through without faith. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't be a priest. I wouldn't be Christian. I don't know what I would be. I would be nebulous. What are you grateful for? Do you have life in perspective? What if, perchance, one of you dies this week? I'll come to your home and meet with your family to plan your funeral because you're going to be right here. You won't be there, you'll be here, flat. And it would be nice to know that your family knows that you have had life in perspective before you died. It would be nice to know that your family could tell me what are the many things that you were thankful for in your life. And they could go down a whole list of things. So maybe it's a $10 homily. Maybe it's not $1 million homily. Perhaps I overextended myself. But if there's anything that you go away with today as you come before the Lord to give thanksgiving to God, I hope you go away with 2 questions. What is it? How do I keep my life in perspective with all the things that are going on in your lives, young or old, black or white, rich or poor, whatever your state in life? How do you keep it in perspective and focus on what's most important? Because there's so much that gets in the way, that gets us off center and makes us very anxious and afraid and concerned and nervous and not at peace. So figure that out for yourself today, this week. How can you keep life more and more in perspective? And then finally, what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for in your life? And not just to know it in your head, but to say it out loud. And maybe even say it out loud to people who are listening to you. Young people who have parents, tell your parents what you're grateful for. Are you grateful for your parents and what they've done for you? Parents, are you grateful for your children even though they tick you off from time to time? If you're elderly, are you grateful for the ability to be able to come to church? To give praise to God? Are you grateful for your great ability to bring music to people's lives like Jim does? Day after day, year after year? That's not just a job. It's a ministry. And all of us have one. All of us have a ministry. So as you go out today, that's what I want you to think about. Okay, maybe it's a $5 homily. But I want you to know that I've been thinking about it and stewing about it all week long. Because the event of a funeral of a great friend today, of a young man, Joe, yesterday. I have a baptism this evening. All of those things have made me kind of discombobulated because I had to go from happy to sad to confused to I don't know. And so I had to have, maybe in my prayer, someone said to me, maybe it was God, Michael, put it in perspective. Michael, what are you thankful for in your life? And then maybe you'll have something to say on Saturday evening.